Hello my loves and welcome back. And if you're new here, then thank you for joining me and giving me a try. Today I want to discuss a couple of ways that you can adjust your hands in downward facing dog if you have any wrist or hand issues. So if you're dealing with an injury, if you're dealing with something like arthritis or something like that, then this is the one for you. So let's look at a couple of things, shall we? So the first thing is, when we usually come into downward facing dog, we have our hands kind of shoulder width apart. That's the suggestion. They can be a little bit wider. So if you want to have your hands a little bit wider than shoulder width, that's perfectly fine before you come up into downward facing dog. Remember, there are no hard and fast rules for where your body should be. It needs to be comfortable for you. However, you do need to support your body. So here's a couple of things that we need to bear in mind. And the first thing is, as we come down, when we have issues, let's call them issues. So when we have issues, what usually happens is when we come into downward facing dog or any all fours position where we're on our hands, as we come down and we have an issue, if it's in our fingers, our knuckles or anything here, we have this tendency to lift it away from the floor. Now, that can temporarily solve the issue. You can come up into downward facing dog just fine. However, a lot of the tension then gets redistributed from your problem area in the knuckles, the fingers, whatever it is, into the wrist, and then eventually up into the shoulder. So really, that's not a great fix. If you feel that it is your knuckles that is the issue, that there's some issue that's preventing you from pushing the knuckles and the palm of the hand down into the floor, find some support. Now it could be, if you have an issue with the hands coming flat on the floor, it could be that you're going to need to find the support here and have your downward facing dog with your knuckles here and your fingers over the edge, and find your down dog here. Is it a little funky? Yes, it is. What I suggest instead is getting a blanket. It could be a towel or something, rolling it up into a fat sausage, and then having your hands here instead. Support the knuckle edge of your hand and have the fingers over the edge, and then come into your downward facing dog. Now there are also specific blocks and stuff that you can get. If you feel like your wrist is the issue and it's just the position of your wrist, this may be something that you want to invest in, is one of the wedge blocks. And then you use that to come into downward facing dog. If all of that fails, here's the thing. You can come into a downward facing dog using a chair. It is still downward facing dog. The only difference is that there's no pressure on your wrists, your hands, or your fingers. Take care of your body. Just because you're in the yoga pose and there's no pain right now, if you're not supporting your hands correctly, you're going to send all of that tension up into the wrist and into the shoulder. Support with the whole of your hand, not just the heel of your hand. Support with the whole hand. All right, so those are just a couple of ways that you can modify your downward facing dog so that you're adjusting for any issues that you're dealing with in your wrists or your hands. I hope this helped. If it did, then give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. And remember, my loves, that karma is only a bitch if you are. So be nice, be kind, and be the change that you want to see in the world.